All right, so let's do that again. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all the beautiful souls all over the world. Regardless of time zone, thank you so much for joining us today as we cap off 2022 with such a relevant topic: how to overcome shyness and increase your confidence in 2023. I don't know about you guys, but I am personally a target audience of this topic. So I'm absolutely excited to hear more from our esteemed speakers today. But before anything else, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Pau Castillo, a writer slash editor, a host, and the head trainer of the Certified Voice Artist program in the Philippines. So if you're joining us here on Zoom or on Facebook Live, please don't be shy and send over your messages through the chat or comment section, whether here on Zoom or on Facebook Live. So just send us your messages and what you guys are expecting today or tonight, wherever you are in the world. Let us know about them. Tell us where you're from and what you're looking forward to in today's event. So we're seeing here lots of us are already excited for today's topic. We have some audiences right here on Zoom, and yeah, we're excited to start. So without further ado, let me just go ahead and share my screen right now. Give me a quick second. Hold on. All right. So once again, welcome to this summit where we talk about the topics of how to overcome your shyness and increase our confidence for 2023. As mentioned earlier, we'd like also to give a quick rundown of what Global Speakers Talk is. So GST is a startup international company founded in 2021 in the public speaking industry. They organize online events to uncover, discover, and share amazing inner voices around the globe. Global Speakers Talk is determined to raise and lift, encourage, and inspire all new coaches, speakers, and trainers who are camera shy to face their fears and just do it anyway. We are here for you and your voice, providing you with accountability and a welcoming and big supportive community for positive feedback and strengthening your confidence in your voice. GST's core belief is that every voice and every new voice is a story to be told. It needs to be uncovered and come to the light to grow and impact the world. Our vision is to inspire, raise, and support 1 million inner voices, empowering them to discover and embrace their true potential. So, as mentioned earlier, I'll be your host for today's event. I'm a writer, editor, a digital marketing specialist, a personal branding specialist, a host, speaker, and a certified voice artist from the Philippines who has always believed that authenticity is the best core to have. Whether you're speaking to an audience, marketing your brand, creating your business, or, simply being yourself. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce our first speaker for today. Our first speaker for today ensures that people are living their best lives healthily. As a certified holistic coach, she uses modern techniques, natural medicine, and ancient wisdom to make everyone's health journey absolutely fruitful. She is also a certified autoimmune paleo practitioner who helps people with autoimmune diseases live meaningful lives without obviously getting overpowered by their worries or their fears of the future and everything in between. Join me in welcoming Renee Andreasen.
Hello, thank you for that introduction. I think you added a little romantic spin on it. I love that you added a little extra. I love that. So I'm Renee Andreasen, and I live in Seattle, Washington. And I once was terrified to speak in public myself, actually. And so I've gone from I couldn't even ask a question in a meeting. Seriously, my heart rate would rise and I would sweat and I would be waiting for somebody to judge me. It was terrible. What was happening on the inside was a lot. So I actually took a side trip in my career for a while and I went into training because I knew that if I wasn't able to answer or ask a question in a meeting without having a panic attack, I would never move forward in my career. And I did know I felt called to someday be a speaker. And I'm still, and so here I am. And this was 25 years ago. I used to work in corporate America. And that working in corporate America no longer served me well. So I became a health coach so I can help inspire and heal and share natural wisdom and natural medicine. So that's what I do right now. But so if anybody out here is shy, I have been there too. And I'm an extrovert. So that kind of was surprising that I was even remotely shy in any situation. But there was something about that public speaking or speaking, and it's about vulnerability and fear of being judged. And so I'll talk a little bit about what I have learned over the years, and just also some of that wisdom that I have gained in my time. So the thing about shyness is that there is nothing wrong with you if you are shy. A lot of people feel like there's something wrong with me, and there's nothing wrong with you if you are shy. It is a gift. And so understanding how to turn your gift into something that serves you and the world well is a fun challenge that you get to go through in this lifetime. In this lifetime. So you are perfect, and you are special, and you are unique just as you are. I think it's important to remember that. And what people don't understand about shy people is that they are the greatest observers that exist, because they're listening, they're really following and being a part of what's happening. And I believe that people who are shy have the most untapped wisdom to share, and they're probably the least sought after person in the room, but they're probably the most qualified to speak. So I think if you're shy and you orient towards, I would like to change this, it's really important to remember you are likely the most qualified person in the room to speak, because you listen. Isn't that powerful? So I think a lot of this is really about changing your story about being shy will help you overcome being shy. And so I think the question to ask yourself is shyness getting in the way of me loving and living my life? Because if it's not, no need to change. Just own your shyness and see it as your greatest asset. So the question is it serving you well or not? So you got to start there. And let me say too, that since I was going first, I figured I would focus on why shy. What is shyness? Why should we even care about shyness? And confidence. And I don't know that they're actually two sides of the same coin. I don't think that they necessarily are. So the question is, should I change? And that's totally up to you. You don't have to. So either love and celebrate your shyness, see that it's your greatest gift and nurture it, or decide to make a change. And what is most important in life, it doesn't matter if it's around shyness or confidence, is that you feel in alignment with yourself. So if you feel like, I'm only supposed to interact at a very important level with a few people in my lifetime, done. Go no further. Stay on that path. If you feel like you have a greater impact that you're meant to make, think about changing. So it's really about, are you in alignment with yourself? Do you know yourself and who you are and what your purpose is? And is this serving me well? What is my gift to the world? And is this getting in the way of my life and my happiness? So I think it's important to stop for a minute and reflect. So if everybody could just look inside about shyness and confidence in themselves on a scale of low, which is 1, and high, which is 10. So low shyness or low confidence is 1. High confidence. I'm sorry, am I doing this right? So let's just stick with shy, right? So low shyness is 1, 10 shyness is high. So 1 to 10, low to high. Where are you on a scale of 1 to 10? If you wouldn't mind, just put your little answer in the chat window. So low is 1, high is 10, and the question is, how shy am I? Oh, okay. Okay. So a middle range. Who wants to not be shy at all? Who wants to never feel shy in their lifetime? Just say me, raise your hand. I always want to feel right. So we have an attachment to shyness, right? You're right. So so it's serving us well in some way. And so the key here is to tap into that and understand why. And usually it's because it came from something in our childhood that happened. And when we think about shyness, it's we're protecting that little child that had that experience. that made them feel like it's not safe for me to step up and participate. And so I'm just not going to. And then sometimes we get in these habits and patterns in lifetime where we want to feel safe. So we don't step out of our comfort zone. So it's really important to understand that shyness can come from your childhood, and it usually does. There's also, anytime we're embarrassed in public, even if it was one time when we were under the age of 10, that's the only thing we're going to remember about our lifetime under 10 is that time where that event happened and I felt uncomfortable. And that's just the human mind. We call it the monkey mind. And so there are ways to overcome that. Just know that the human mind and something about our DNA moves towards safety, and we remember things that are not safe. It's just the way we're wired until we make a change to change the patterns about how we think and how we act. So genetics and ancestry, they totally affect this as well. But if something's in your family or in your genes, it doesn't mean that you will have it too. It just means it's there. And it's something that can be turned on or off at any time. And then also spiritual or religious beliefs that definitely relates to confidence and shyness, because in some religions, if I'm proud of myself, I am sinning. So there's a lot around keeping us quiet, keeping our confidence down in society or experiences. And then there's also the element of imposter syndrome, where we don't believe that we belong where we are. So if we've ever been at a room with other people who are more beautiful than us, more smart than us, so then we compare the natural, and again, this is like our unevolved selves at our basic fight or flight safety level is like, am I good enough to be here? And this could be in your career. It could be in a relationship. It can apply to many things. So these are the reasons why we can be shy or have low confidence. And knowing that these are things that are just factors in our life that we can choose to hold on to or let go, that's when we know that we have choice. So whether or not you should change is completely up to you. And I need some help on timing. Like, how many minutes do I have left? I want to make sure I wrap this up right. If you wouldn't mind giving me a cue here. So the question is, should you change? And that's totally up to you. You either need to love your shyness and celebrate it and consider it a gift and nurture it, or decide to change. And the question is, does this serve me well? Does it serve the people in my life well? Is it going to serve me in the future well? And if the answer to any of those questions makes you think a little more, dive deeper and go into that. So I think I'll wrap this up because I'm probably close to time, right? Am I?
No, feel free to just extend a
going?
bit since we had like a
Okay.
few technical errors
Oh,
earlier
sure.
on.
Okay. Okay, thanks. So I'll just finish it out. And so this is a really fun exercise to put you in the moment of what is your personal movie around shyness and confidence. So if you think about it and you think about the last week, so this is just a technique, right? So in the moment, you become aware, oh, I'm feeling shy. And you can ask yourself, what is the movie that I'm playing in my head right now? What is my avatar around shyness? And so I'll ask each of you in your mind, look back at the last week and ask yourself, how was my confidence? What is the name of the movie of my confidence last week? Or it could even be today, or could be before coming into this meeting. And so just think about that. I'm going to ask you to reflect the name of your movie. So an answer could be, Shy Sally Seems Small. That was the name of last week. And then you know that. And then you're aware and you sit with that, probably something we don't like. So how you empower yourself to start, and all of this is like, so it's all about mindset, is now you're going to change the name of your movie for this week. So take a moment there, think about the name of your movie for next week. Could be even today, could be in this call. Sacred Sarah saves energy for those who return it to her tenfold. Right? Yeah, Sacred Sarah is shy because it can take her energy away when she gives it to people who don't return it back. That's beautiful, right? I'm getting the chills. Sacred Sarah. So we're not Shy Sally, we're Sacred Sarah or Sacred Sam, whatever you want to be. It doesn't have to be female oriented. So really, this is really about understanding what your current association with shyness and confidence is, to connect with it and understand it, nurture it, and then change the title of the movie if you don't like it. So we have the power to change at any time just by becoming aware of where we are in that moment, and then have a tool for change. So I think I'll just wrap it up here and say this. It's like the point I wanted to make is nothing wrong with shy. Are you in alignment with your purpose for your lifetime? And if not, is this getting in the way of that? If it is, definitely work here. And there's no shame, there's no blame. Like, shyness is beautiful. My daughter is shy, and I just love her for it, you know. So it's really about, who am I to the world? Am I in alignment with who I am? Why do I think I'm shy or have low confidence? What am I doing that's not in alignment with who I am and my purpose? And how can my personality serve me well to help the world become a greater place? Thank you. That's all I have. Oh, I think you're on mute.
Okay, I kind of like figured that out. Thank you so much, Renee, for that wonderful sharing. Like, let me just fix this up also. So thank you so much for that wonderful sharing. And if there's one key takeaway that I personally like, is the whole idea that being shy, like, you're most probably the most qualified person in the room to talk or to share whatever. That's such an insightful perspective. Like, no one would usually think of it that way. I wouldn't think of it that way, because we always have all of these how to overcome shyness or how to get over it. It's always seemed to be like something that you have to totally get rid of. So it's
Yeah.
super insightful for us to hear this time around that it's something that you can sit with and work with to your advantage, which is really cool. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sharing those wonderful insights. Truly
But
appreciate it.
and if I could just say one thing, it's just remember that our human bodies
Mhm.
and are tuned for safety. And so, and sometimes we make associations that aren't accurate because it felt safe. And
That is
sometimes,
true.
it is accurate.
Mhm.
So it's having that inner mastery and wisdom to know when it's serving you well or not. So thank you. Okay, I'm done.
That's an additional insight. Like, it's usually, sometimes I think it's too extreme, like totally get rid of your shyness or be confident, and you get rid of this other aspect of yourself that's keeping you safe or keeping you from, like, putting yourself on some sort of like a safe space. So it's just really honoring, like, knowing if is it serving you well, or is it serving a purpose in your life. So I think that's really such a fresh perspective for us, because I personally, what I felt, that whole thing you said earlier about you can't even ask a question without having a panic attack. I totally get that. I totally get that. So to for people like us, and I'm pretty sure like a lot of our listeners or audience right now, even our fellow speakers, might have that kind of, that kind of personality within them also. So to kind of like hear that it's something that you can work with instead of feeling so small about your shyness is super refreshing. So thank you so much for changing our perspective on that, Renee. Truly appreciate it. All right. So next up, we have a motivational speaker. Hold on. I wasn't sharing my screen. So give me a few moments. All right. So next up, we have a motivational speaker, coach, and model who works with individuals and groups to overcome the fear of failure and fear of success. This is actually such an interesting insight. The fear of success and the fear of rejection. She lives in Nigeria but works on various stages globally, helping people overcome imposter syndrome, self doubt, hesitation, and procrastination. To ultimately live her best life, she also works with charities, namely the Children Living with Cancer Foundation and the Global Give Back Circle. Join me in welcoming Omu Obilo.
Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I know we're scattered all over the world. I'm in Nigeria and it's afternoon now. So I'm talking about the fear of rejection. Thank you so much, Renee. I happen to be an extremely shy person and people don't believe me. So that said, I think I have suffered from every limiting belief there is and that I coach people on. I think I passed through all those processes and all those fears. Fear of rejection being one of them. And I'd like to know if there's anyone here who hasn't had to deal with fear of rejection at some point. If there's any one of you who haven't dealt with the fear of rejection, I would like to see if you could just raise your hand. So I struggled for a very long time. Oh, really, Frankie, I need to get in touch with you. I'd like to. You're probably one of those superhumans who, there's some people who it's almost as if they were born confident at some point. And then those people intimidate me. I always feel like asking them, what exactly were you thinking? What were you doing? Now I know better. So a lot of people, majority of people at some point in their lives dealt with different fears, fear of rejection being one of them. A lot of the fears, fear of rejection inclusive, are stemmed from things that we've gone through in our childhood or from when we were born. I always like to let people realize that for every experience, for everything you've heard, for everything you've seen, for everything you've said, for every interaction, is registered in our memory. Nothing ever wipes out. Whatever goes into your memory or your brain, I like to use, whatever goes into your brain does not leave. It might not play an effective role in your life now. That's because you have put it at some back of your mind, but it is still there. It always plays a role. So based on different things we have gone through in life, most common in fear of rejection is when we're expecting validation or support or love from someone that we really love or look up to highly and we don't get it. It usually starts from there. And what happens is that we let it affect every other aspect of our lives. Like Frankie, who hasn't been through it, we all have different levels of risk tolerance. And I had to build mine, for instance. I wasn't willing to take any risk. I wanted to be 100% certain it was going to work before I delve into it. And you can imagine with that kind of mindset, how many opportunities you would miss, because nothing is going to tell you, even when you're told it's going to be 100%, there's no guarantee it's going to be 100%, and nothing is 100% perfect anyway. So you find that you're missing out on things that you ordinarily would have done. And if you're not willing to take risks in the first place, you won't be living your life to its fullest. So you'll be missing out on a lot of things. So living and taking risks happens to be one of those things that we have to do to grow. So fear of rejection, aside from causing us to miss out on things, it causes us to miss out on relationships because we're not going to go into those relationships because we're already scared of rejection. It basically affects our 6 human needs, but I identify certainty to be one of the major human needs that it affects, because we want to make sure that we're not going to be rejected. We want to make sure that it's going to be go smoothly 100%. So I've come up with about 6 steps to help us overcome this fear of rejection. And the first one is breaking down our limiting beliefs. Now, our limiting beliefs are those beliefs we have put in our heads and we've believed over time, and it's holding us back. I had a lot. My major limiting belief was that I felt that nobody was going to listen to me and I had nothing to offer. I didn't realize that was a limiting belief. I didn't even realize it existed until a few years ago. And how did it play out? It played out in the sense that I did every course on the face of the earth. So for instance, I have a certification on emotional intelligence, and I have it from 4 different institutions. Ask me why I have to do it 4 times. But I only just realized that it was that fear of not wanting to be, of feeling like nobody's going to listen to you and you're going to be rejected. I kept reinforcing it, feeling like, okay, I needed to add one more. I needed to know more. And for people who don't suffer from that fear, you find out that they just go ahead and do it even without the certification. So the first thing you need to do is break down those limiting beliefs, identify what those beliefs are and how it affects your self-worth and your skills. A fear of rejection, being rejected, is not equated to your self-worth, which is a mistake a lot of us make. So when we're rejected, or when we feel we are, because sometimes we're actually not rejected, it's just a feeling that we have in our head. And when that doesn't mean that you're less of a human being, it doesn't mean that you're less worthy. It also doesn't mean that you're less deserving of happiness in life. So we need to clear that. And like I say, name it to tame it. Name that belief and attack that belief. Don't just leave it, hovering around. And the second step would be to change your story. Once you're able to identify the limiting beliefs that surround the fear of rejection, you can begin to replace them with empowering ones. I often say to people, kill the monster while it's a baby, because it usually starts like a little tiny seed. And if you don't kill it, then it grows and then it envelopes you and takes you over. So once you're able to identify the limiting beliefs, the next thing would be for you to begin to replace those self-talks and those fears with positive ones. And I probably am a very stubborn person without realizing, because I've heard this for maybe 15, 20 years. And I would always argue, how do you expect me to look at myself and I'm seeing that I'm not being listened to, or she didn't smile at me, and you're saying to me to say to myself, oh, you look good, oh, you sound good, oh, you're confident, oh, I'm not, so I couldn't wrap it around my head. As soon as I was able to wrap it around my head and see that what I was saying to myself was actually doing me a lot of harm, I started to reframe my thoughts. As we go further, I'll speak more on that. The fourth would be to build our inner strength. And in building our inner strength, I would point out a point that I didn't mention earlier, which is letting go of your past. To build your inner strength and change your story, it's important to let go of your past. And that's a difficult part. For me personally, I don't know about others. Letting go of your past includes forgiveness, which a lot of us find difficult. And then it includes forgetting, which for a very long time, I used to say, I don't have amnesia. How do you expect me to forget? Then I realized that the forgetting is not necessarily that you don't remember that an event like that occurred. It is more of not letting it have an effect on you. All that you need to be able to build inner strength. And a good way to look at it is that when you realize that these events don't happen for you, they happened to you, it changes the perspective that you look at it. And once you're able to change that perspective, you begin to gain deeper understanding. And then I like this one, which is about shifting our focus. And all this also has to do with the mindset. Shifting our focus, what we focus on actually grows. And aside from fear of rejection, I always like to use myself as an example, and the way that I used to talk about shyness and my different fears and my focus on money. I grew up feeling like if I focused on making money, it meant I was greedy. It meant I lacked empathy. It meant, so many things. Until I started to shift my focus and started watching things that I said, I began to see money as a tool. That kind of changed my perspective. Also, when I used to think that money, if I talked about money, I'll be rejected. Trust me, I was rejected even in the places that till tomorrow I can't explain. So changing your focus and focusing on the proper things and things that you honestly want to achieve. Tony Robbins says that, and I agree with him, that people who fail, they focus on how they go through the event. And actually, that was me. So I don't think about the end of the event. I'm thinking of all the processes, people I need to talk to, people that will reject me along the line. And I think of every other thing. I never focus on the outcome, which is the positive thing. Successful people focus on the outcome. They focus on the positive side of it and how it's going to pan out. So that is one of the very important ways to overcome the fear of rejection. The final one, which I'm very passionate about, is about controlling our emotions. Emotional intelligence has become a big thing. It's important for us to control our emotions as against our emotions controlling us. In this day and age when we're all online, I'll use Facebook, for instance. There's some times that you're on Facebook to work, and then you start to get DMs from people you don't know. Personally, for everyone who sends me a DM, I try to read with an open mind and respond as, respectfully as I can. There are those who will hound you even when you say, you know what, this has nothing to do with me, or I'm not interested. And if you're not careful or in control of your emotions, you might end up lashing out at them, and it would consequently affect your business, because the world has become a global village. Everyone here have become my community, even without meeting them personally, but they become part of my community. The way the world is now, you're transacting, doing major transactions across the globe without meeting the person personally. The online life has become measures to rate trust, measures to rate collaborations and things like that. So this is actually part of our lives now. And also, what you say, how you communicate, would also determine whether you'll be rejected or not. So it's important for us to manage our emotions and don't let our emotions control us. No matter what causes a fear of rejection, it's an emotion. No matter what it is, it's always an emotion, and that emotion can be mastered. The greatest fear of rejection I had was when I had to start selling my coaching services directly, or when I had to start booking discovery calls. For a long time, I depended on different platforms and they sent clients to me. I knew I had to grow. I knew I had to, get out of that comfort zone. And my greatest fear was when I finished speaking to them, whether they were going to reject me or whether they were going to listen to me. I had to dig deeper to find out what was the emotion I was feeling. And aside from the fear of rejection, that was how I realized that I didn't trust my skills. I did not, I wasn't comfortable in my own skin. And I had to go back and master all those emotions. And I had to learn how to identify what I was feeling exactly and how to deal with it to create a breakthrough. That's how you learn to overcome the fear of rejection. Thank you.
All right. Gosh, Omu, thank you so much for all of those wonderful insights. If you can see our chat area right here on Zoom. So we've been getting like a bunch of feedback from different people here within our Zoom call right now. And personally, I love how you focused on the forgiveness part. I actually found that funny was I don't have amnesia. How can you expect me to forgive and forget? And usually it's like when we say forgiveness, a lot of people often equate it to forgetting what happened, but I like how you said forgiveness is not forgetting, but rather not letting it get to you anymore or not letting it affect you anymore. So that is such what's this? That is such a new perspective again. And thank you for sharing your 6 steps. That those are some, I would say, like for people who aren't really how to say this, very open to being introspective. I think they might have to sit with a few difficult conversations with themselves, but definitely acknowledging all of that, your the weak points and how we can get past that after trying to work on those 6 steps is just an entirely new us, that can help us live our lives to the fullest. So thank you so much for sharing those 6 steps. That's something to look forward to in the next couple of days. Next couple of days, like people will be doing their New Year's resolution or just making new goals for themselves, right? So I think if they would include those 6 steps, that's gonna be a wonderful experience for the next year. Thank you so much, Omu, and hope you enjoy the rest of the talk today. All right. So I'm so loving this talk today, says Navi in our chat. Thank you so much, Navi, for that. And I'm absolutely enjoying myself also. At one point, I'm kind of forgetting that I'm already hosting this event because I feel like I'm just an audience, just admiring all of our speakers. I'm actually also taking notes here on the side, lots of quotable quotes and lots of stuff to put on my personal journal as well. So we were not done. We have a couple more speakers to go, more learnings to have. And speaking of speakers, let me share who our next one is. So our next hold on. Give me a moment. All right. Our next speaker comes from Japan and holds a master's in business administration from an MBA in Tokyo. As a content and leadership coach, she works with coaches, therapists, hypnotherapists, and light workers on their content by focusing on the messaging and sales mindset through NLP, EFT, tapping, and hypnosis. So join me in welcoming Lumi Messaros.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for introducing me, Pao. Just wanted to say that I absolutely love the first 2 talks during this event, and it's very interesting because the talk that Omu just gave is a bit similar, not similar, but is connected to what I'm going to talk about today. So let me share my screen if that's okay, because I've actually have some slides for you. One
Sure thing.
second.
There you
So
go.
can you see my screen?
There you go. We see it now.
Thank you so much. So my talk today will actually be, of course, connected to our main topic, but I really want to show you how self-confidence, self-trust links to self-mastery and helps you kind of like overcome this idea of like shyness, of maybe being a bit, afraid of rejection, and a lot of things that can be underneath that shyness. It can also be imposter syndrome. It can be a lot of different things. But first, let me introduce myself again. Thank you, Paul, again for introducing me. I live in Japan. I am originally from Romania, from Bucharest, Romania, actually. I'm certified in NLP, hypnosis, EFT tapping, and life coaching. I do also hold a master's in business administration in Tokyo, and I am a marketing specialist. And I help mainly hypnotherapists, EFT tapping, life coaches to create magnetic content and a successful aligned business. You can find me on Instagram at Magnetic Abundance. But regarding finding that self-confidence, I believe that no matter how much we want to look for it in other parts that are not within ourselves, we're just going to spend more time not really finding what we need, maybe finding a temporary solution to what we want, which is in this case more self-confidence. And I want to really I'm maybe many of us already know about this pyramid. Maybe it's the first time you see it, but basically there's different levels in our reality and our life overall, and it's important to see which kind of level are we actually starting with in order to create the shift, in order to increase our self-confidence. So there's the level of spirit, identity, beliefs, capability, behaviors, and environment. And of course, they're all connected in an ecosystem in our life. But today, the thing I want to be talking about is the identity level shift, where everything starts. For me, until now, I've been working on shifting my identity for 2-3 years now, maybe even more. But basically, what am I speaking about shifting my identity? I don't mean I'm going to put a new name for myself tomorrow and gonna live in Guatemala. I mean that I am shifting the beliefs since my childhood, shifting the beliefs that I have acquired from society, from my parents who, they did their best, but they also had their own limiting beliefs, which Omu was talking about just now. So that's what I mean about shifting your identity. I don't mean physically like going and getting like a new face via surgery, right? So this can be done to meditation, shifting limiting beliefs. I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. Of course, hypnosis and EFT tapping are some of the modalities that I use with my clients, and I use on myself daily in order to kind of like go to the root of where these limiting beliefs are from and change them completely. But most important, this piece of embodiment, embodying a new identity, comes with repetition. This is a lesson that I learned this year very, very well, that actually in order to shift things, in order to shift your identity from a maybe less confident person on camera, let's say, or online, or in your business, in your discovery calls with your clients, repeating something is what builds this new identity of a more confident person step by step every day. And I just love Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry about this gift, and I also love gifts. But it's really important when we think about any sort of change to observe what are the habits that we are doing right now. For example, if we're not that confident on camera, let's say in our business, if we are content creators, coaches, service providers, what are my habits right now? Am I starting a story on Instagram and then I'm deleting it every time when it's not perfect? Am I creating content and I'm deleting it every time when I think it's not perfect? If we are doing that, then we are actually going into that direction where we don't want to go. We want to be more confident, so we have to be a bit more accepting of what we put out there and how we're going to learn to actually putting out there things that are not perfect. What can we improve on, and what are some repetitive positive actions we can take? And This is something, of course, that we are usually taught to create changes at the environment level. So, for example, a diet. I'm not, I'm not agreeing with diets necessarily, but this is just an example. So for diets, let's say you have, you want to be more toned, you want to look better at whatever stage, whatever number of, whatever how you want to feel like. And you start going to the gym, and like sometimes we starve ourselves, for example, which is terrible, when deep down you don't really want to do these things. Deep down you don't believe such a major change is even possible for you to attain that level of change that you want, whether it's self-confidence, whether it's like self-confidence with your body. When we start creating that outer change, like we buy a new gym, gym kind of like clothes, we get like a new protein shaker, and we're like, okay, from today I'm going to start and exercise, 5 times per week. When we do those things without shifting anything about how we see ourselves, our inner beliefs about us actually making that change into our lives, whether if it's real for us or not, whether it's something that we can believe or not, many times, 9 times out of 10, because we're talking about resolutions and New Year resolutions, 9 times out of 10, we don't get to our goal because of that, because we focus on outside change rather than inside change. We just buy the training shoes, we buy the protein shaker, but we do not look at what we think about ourselves and our body and how confident we are with our body at all. That's when we're going to sabotage ourselves subconsciously in any possible way that we can. We're gonna, go and buy groceries instead of going to the gym. We're gonna think, oh, I need to buy a new washing machine. Let me look on Amazon for 20 hours because like this is really important. We're gonna sabotage ourselves if we don't deal first with the identity level shift. And the same thing happens with confidence, right? When we don't look at what are our limiting beliefs and how to reframe them, that's when we're going to kind of like start sabotaging ourselves many times. And since children, we are taught a set of rules and ideas our parents believed in, whether good or bad. And it's now our responsibility to teach ourselves new rules and idea by which we can live our life so that we can live a richer, more fulfilled life. And I don't know if you guys have been hearing these things since you were kids or not, but I have been hearing some of them, maybe more, but I just gave like 3 examples here. For example, things that you might have heard about being confident. It's not so good to stand out. You cannot speak too highly about yourself or you will be considered arrogant. Make sure you don't disclose your achievements as others might feel bad. So these are some things that we might have heard when we're like 6, 7, 8. So from the moment of 0 to 7 years old, we're actually just like a walking, talking subconscious mind. Our conscious mind is not really that developed. So these things that we heard are so deeply entrenched in our identity, in our subconscious mind, that it really takes time and work, everyday work, for us to challenge them and start implementing those shifts that really will show up in our outer reality. And why should we question limiting beliefs? Your frequent thoughts become your beliefs. If you think that I cannot speak too highly about myself because I will be considered arrogant, your frequent thoughts are going to become your beliefs. When you have a limiting belief, in time it becomes an action. So maybe you will never speak about your achievements. Therefore, you can never get any promotions, right? You have to talk about what you did well in your career, or you can never, if you don't speak about your testimonials, the wonderful things you do with your clients, other people cannot know what you're actually doing. So this actions that you're taking translates into actual decisions that you're taking into your life. And these decisions might hinder your success if you took them from a place of fear or scarcity. So by questioning and changing them, you create better thoughts and beliefs that lead to better decisions. So you can see how your beliefs literally become your reality. That's why it's so important to challenge them. It's literally the life that you live every day. So about self-confidence as well. If you don't challenge those things that you might have heard in childhood regarding being confident, then you as sometimes we can't even track the actions and the decisions we take from that space of limiting beliefs. And I want you to take a bit of time to answer the question, just in your mind, what is your earliest memory of you being confident, of you having that undeniable confidence, like, I'm doing this, I am, follow me kind of energy. And did your parents or caregivers have a lot of self-confidence, or was it generally frowned upon to be too confident? Like, ooh, why are you like this? Like, don't stand out so much. Like, why are you speaking up so many times? I mean, I never heard the last one, but I think this is something that some people might hear. Or maybe I did. I can't really remember right now. So this will deeply affect what you feel and how you let yourself develop self-confidence and self-trust today. So it's important to also think about early memories. I think also Renee and Omo talked about this, but really, really precious piece of information for you. Whenever I have a moment where I don't feel self-confident, or when I don't feel I can do something, I ask myself, when did I decide? When did I decide that I cannot be self-confident, that I cannot give this presentation? When did I decide that I cannot sell this package, or I cannot work, I don't know, with this project? And when I ask myself, when did I decide, it actually, becomes very clear where my limiting beliefs it's coming from. And I love the law of attraction, of course, but there's more than the law of attraction. I love learning about these things. I love learning about how our subconscious minds how our subconscious mind creates our reality. But I want to talk a bit about the law of cause and effect. So whatever you send a ripple out in the universe, it will come back. The more you focus on your talents and what you appreciate, we truly appreciate about yourself, the more those talents will shine through. The law of oneness. We are all connected, and the people that you see online being extremely self-confident and like, oh my gosh, how can she be like this? How can she talk like that? How can she, or him discuss in this way? How can they be so confident? When you see a person like that, it's all practice. It's literally all practice. It's literally nothing special about them, nothing that they have that you do not possess, or some ability that they're born with. It's literally practice and being put to those situations and them working with their beliefs and their identity from an identity level. And I want to talk a bit, this is the last part, but I want to talk about the ladder of believability. The ladder of believability is about trying to do things, not eating a whole elephant in a day. And please don't eat any elephants. I love elephants, okay? So I'm not giving this advice. But instead of thinking, oh, okay, I have to be self-confident from tomorrow, that's it, or today, or I have a presentation in 5 minutes, so I better be self-confident. Instead of that, try to see where you are right now with your self-confidence and where can you raise the bar slowly and slowly and slowly. You don't have to do everything at a time. And that's where a lot of us, I think, are getting stuck, paralyzed, procrastinate, myself included. I do this a lot, where I think, okay, I have to be this way very quickly, so I better get it together. And it's not about that. It's about starting to increase the ladder of believability in steps, literally in steps. And I have these numbers here. Why? Because the ladder of believability also applies to money beliefs, which is almost talked about a little bit before. But the same with money, the same with self-confidence. It's better to start thinking, okay, how much do I want to actually create in my life? What is the number that I want to create? And how can I make it bite-sized? How can I see, okay, how do I reach 4K, for example, if I want to sell something for 4K? How do I reach 6? How do I reach 8? How do I reach 10? How do I reach 1,000,000? And see it in bite size and steps. The same with self-confidence. How do I reach, a TED talk? I'm not just going to be, okay, I'm going in for a TED talk. No, that's on the top of my ladder, right? And then I'm going to be like, well, can I have an event with my friends? I can call them over, or I can have a Zoom call this weekend with them. And the next step would be, well, can I be part of an event such as this one that we're having today? And thank you so much for inviting me. It's a wonderful opportunity. And then, the next level. Well, can I apply to a TED talk, or can I talk to my university? Maybe they have this kind of program where they're doing talks, so I can enhance my self-confidence. And what I want to leave you with today is that there's literally no step in this ladder that is impossible for you. It's only when we make everything be one ginormous step that we feel like it's too hard to climb, that it's that moment where we block ourselves and we start sabotaging ourselves from actually reaching the top of the ladder where we want to go. So that's it for me. Please keep in touch. I love everyone's presentation, and I'm looking forward for the next ones. I'm Magnetic Abundance on Instagram. I am a content and leadership coach, or content and business coach. So yeah, check me out at Magnetic Abundance. I have a lot of other tips to my content on there. So thank you so much for listening to me today.
All right. Thank you so much, Lumi, for all of those wonderful insights that you shared with us today. So I did take down, hold on. Let me just add myself. There we go. I did take down a couple of notes. So I kind of like the whole idea. Don't eat the elephants. We love elephants. So number one, we love the elephants. And of course, I like the idea that you shared about the ladder of believability, simply because sometimes you get too overwhelmed when we make such big goals. And the only reason, like, all of those big goals are attainable, but the only reason why most, if not all of us, stop is if we're like, we try to go all the way there without taking like those baby steps and giving us that push. Like every step gives us that push we need to get to the top. So thank you for that wonderful reminder, because I think that's one of, again, as mentioned earlier, this is the period in time where people are making their New Year's resolution. So they're making like big goals. It's a new year, it's a new me, it's new stuff all over again. But if we're always in a hurry to kind of like achieve all of those and all in one go, then that's where the demotivation comes in. So thank you so much for sharing that. And one
Thank
more
you.
thing that I kind of like wanted to highlight before we introduce the next speaker as well is one thing you said earlier is that there's nothing that the confident people have that we don't. So it takes practice, which I think is such a good insight, because we fail to often recognize that confidence takes practice. And we just see these confident speakers, confident people out there, and we're just like, oh, I wish I can be them. Or they might be born with it. They might be just like that, naturally. But we fail to realize that we too can be like that with practice, and of course getting rid of our limiting beliefs. So thank you so much, Lumi, for all of those wonderful insights and self reminders now that we're onwards to the new year.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right, so let's go ahead and proceed to our next speaker for today rather. So today, wherever you are in the world, it's also tonight on Lumi's end right now. So at the moment, we're gearing up rather for the last half for today's event. And I hope everyone who has been around up until this point is learning a lot. And I know, because I know I am, and obviously from our chat section here on Zoom, everyone's like sharing their own insights, sharing their own stories, awesome takeaways, sharing all of their well regards to all of our speakers. So I hope you guys are learning a lot, because we know all of us are here on Zoom at the I am learning so much, says Anna. And yeah, so before we proceed, opening the last half of today's event, let's go ahead. Opening the last half of our event today is a highly renowned and multi-award-winning global speaker, digital media entrepreneur, editor, and publisher of Africa's leading health and motherhood magazine, The Mommy and I magazine, and author of Youthful Without Blemish. Her extensive experience also includes being an edu leader, creative content consultant, YouTuber, and an award-winning scientist, and SDG expert with international certifications by the University at Albany and State University of New York. She is the founder of Ladies Let's Talk International, a community of over 8,000 women from over 10 different countries, which is a CSR initiative by Mommy and I magazine, solely for mentoring, empowering, and educating women from all over the world to help them live a productive life. It is such an honor to welcome Dr. Ijeoma Esther Nnamdi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I was almost asking myself, am I the one being introduced or some other person? That's wonderful. Thanks so much, Andrew and the entire team. I'm happy to be here. Today we are discussing how to overcome shyness and increase your confidence in 2023. The truth of the matter is confidence is not innate. Confidence is not a fixed characteristic. It's an ability that can be acquired or improved upon over time. Self-confidence is an attitude about your skills, your abilities. It means you accept and trust yourself, and you have a sense of control over your life. You have to master your strengths, be aware of your weaknesses, have positive view of yourself. This is one of the ways to have confidence. I'll proceed to share my screen as I go into details of this teaching. You can see my screen, right?
Yes, we can.
Okay. So we're looking at how to overcome confidence, how to overcome shyness and increase your confidence in 2023. Okay, one thing we need to know is if you're a shy person, you're not alone. We have many people all over the world who suffer from mild to extreme shyness, and they are struggling every day to overcome it. So you're a shy person, don't think it's the end of the world. No, it's not the end of the world. You have other people all over the world who are also shy. And a lot of us were once shy. By the special grace of God, I've been opportune and privileged to speak in over 120 events. And I kid you not, there was a time at a point in my life where I was a shy person because I'm a melancholy by temperament, and I'm also an introvert. Aside the public speaking space, if you see me one-on-one, I'm a very quiet and calm person. So being a public speaker who has spoken in several platforms is something that I learned over time. Over time as a child, I learned to be confident. So if you're a shy person, don't think that's the end of the world. No, a time will come when you will grow your confidence. So how to overcome shyness? One of the ways you can overcome shyness is to understand your shyness. Ask yourself, what is the root cause of shyness? Why am I shy? Is it as a result of weak self-image? Is it because you've not discovered who you are? You are not self-aware, you are not hands-on on your strength, and you don't know your weaknesses? Try to dig in. Do a lot of introspection to know why you are shy. It will help you when you discover the reason why you're shy. It will help you to work on it and become a better person over time. Secondly, is it because you have an inability to accept compliments? I've met some people that are shy when someone compliments them. I remember the day I was driving and I saw a very beautiful young lady. I just whined down and said, "You're beautiful." The lady covered her face. She covered her face and she couldn't just look at me. I drove off. So some people are shy and they have this ability to accept compliments. So ask yourself, is it on that basis that I'm shy? Thirdly, are you too preoccupied with yourself? You are in an event, you are in a conference, and you want to say something. You have those amazing points you want to make in a conference, but you are too preoccupied with yourself. In your head, you're asking yourself, how will I sound? What will people say about me? What people will not say I know too much? What people will not say I talk too much? What people will not wonder, why would she say something different from what the guest speaker or what one of the speakers said? When you are too preoccupied with yourself, is a problem. And sometimes it leads to self-doubt. Before you know it, analysis paralysis strikes in and you end up not saying a word. Meanwhile, you had 101 things you wanted to say, but you couldn't say any because you are too preoccupied with yourself. Another thing is, are you labeled shy by others? Words are powerful. Words are like bullets. When shot, they cannot be retrieved. You've been told by a lot of people that you are shy. Oh, she's a shy girl. Oh, she's a shy boy. Oh, she doesn't like talking in public. And you grew up with that mindset. You allow that sink into your head. You believe them that actually you are shy and you feel helpless. You feel there is nothing you can do about it. You feel you don't have anything to offer. I've been told I'm shy right from childhood. Is it now that I'm in my 30s that I want to overcome it? Is it now that I'm in my 50s that I want to overcome it? Oh, I've passed the age of 40. Do I start working on this? I've been shy all my life. No, darling. You don't need to be bugged by labels. No matter whatever have been said about you in the past, you actually have all it takes to rewrite your story. You have all it takes to say, yes, people knew me as a shy person when I was much younger in my childhood days, but now I can work towards being bold, towards becoming a better person. You don't need to allow whatever labels that have been made about you, whatever labels, whatever tasks you've been given in the past to stop your growth journey. The second thing I need you to do is to accept your shyness. One of the first steps to overcome your shyness is to try to accept your shyness and be comfortable with it. Like our previous speaker said, I really appreciate the previous speakers that spoke earlier, Renee, Lumi, and my own Nigerian sister, Obilor. I really appreciate them because they said something about this as well. You need to accept your shyness. You need to be comfortable with your shyness. It's okay to be shy. You know, once it comes to public speaking, one thing you need to do is to do it afraid. It's okay to be shy. It's okay to be tensed. It's okay to be anxious, but do it all the same. When you accept you're shy and you're comfortable with it, it helps you work on it. It helps you work on it. You need to tell yourself, yes, I'm shy, I accept it, but I will work on it. You have to have a progressive mindset that despite this is a weakness, yes, it's a weakness, but then you are ready for growth. You are ready to metamorphose. You are ready to evolve. You're ready to become a better person, in as much as this is your weakness. So you're ready to grow irrespective and become a better version of yourself. The third thing you need to do in order to overcome shyness is to figure out your triggers. We all have triggers. We all have things that, make us snap back, things that remind us of our past and all that. So you need to figure out your triggers. What are the things that actually make you shy? Do you become shy in front of a new audience? Do you become shy when you're learning a new skill? Do you become shy when you're venturing into a new situation? When you're in a new environment, when you are in an environment where nobody knows you? Do you become shy when you're surrounded by people you know and admire? Do you become shy when you don't know anyone anywhere? Like you're in an environment where you don't know anybody within that environment. Is that what makes you shy? So I need you to write down things that make you shy, things that you foresee as your triggers. Try to pinpoint these things, try to write them down if possible. It will help you to figure out your triggers. Once you're able to figure out your triggers, you will work on them one step at a time. Also make a list of situations that make you feel anxious. What are kind of situations that make you feel anxious? Go ahead to list those things that cause you the least anxiety first, and those that cause you the most anxiety last. When you put things in concrete terms, it feels like a task you can tackle successfully. Talking in front of people may be a trigger, but you can even be more specific. You can say, is it talking in front of those who have more authority than you do? There are times where you are called to speak as a public speaker. You might be speaking in front of people who are quite older than you. I've been in situations where I was speaking in front of the first lady of my state, in front of other stakeholders, in front of people working within that office, honorables, commissioners, but then you need to know that for you to stand in front of those prestigious people holding those prestigious positions, it means they saw something in you. It means they know you will give value. It means they know your depths. They know the stuff you're made of. That's why they called you to speak. So you need to find out, do I usually feel shy when I'm speaking to people who have more authority than I do? Do I feel shy when I'm talking to people, I find attractive? Maybe people that you really love, maybe it could even be the opposite sex, So you need to figure out these things. What are the situations that make you anxious? Because when you're anxious, it sends a signal to your brain and shyness gets released. You understand? So you need to find out the situations that make you anxious. It will help you to work on it and become better. Now, I don't know what you have on your list. By the time you're done watching this program, by the time for those of us that are following the live streaming, by the time you're done with your list, I need you to know you can conquer the list. I don't know what you have on that list. I don't know how lengthy they are. I don't know how many numbers they are. I don't know if they are uncountable, limitless. I don't care to know, but I need you to know today that you can conquer the list. If you're following us, I need you to type conquer the list, conquer the list. Whatever you have on that list, you can conquer it. Once you have a list of 10 to 15 stressful situations, start working through them one by one. The first few easier situations will help you build your confidence so that you can continue moving to more difficult situations. Don't worry if you have to go backwards on the list. Sometimes take it at your own pace, but make an effort to push yourself. Like I said, I don't want to know how many figures you have on that list, how many numbers, the list of things that are making you shy as a person, but you can conquer the list. That's the good news. That's the mindset I want each and every one of us to have today, that whatever it is that is making you shy, you can conquer it because you've been able to identify the triggers. Now, the next thing I want us to look at is conquering your mind. In a way, we are programmed since childhood to react to certain stimuli, like stay away from strangers. Your parents will tell you stay away from strangers, stay away from heights, dangerous animals. And even as adults, once we see some of those things we're asked to stay away from in childhood, we kind of react. We react automatically by default without us even knowing. And this reaction could be flawed. For example, when people see a lizard, some see an ugly reptile, while others will perceive a beautiful pet. Even butterflies, some people see butterfly and say, oh, what a beautiful butterfly. While some see a butterfly and they don't even care, like they don't care about the colors and the beauty. And all these are as a result of our different experiences, different memories from childhood. And when shy people see people, it is a stimuli, and their natural response to this stimuli is shyness. The truth is, you can change this response by reprogramming your mind. Some of the ways you can reprogram your mind is by questioning yourself and checking the validity of your reason. For example, it is essential that you practice speaking in public to really overcome the problem of shyness. Once you've identified your person, you need to practice speaking in public. You need to practice it. You need to, make effort to speak in public. I want to share something personal because I call myself an inspirational speaker. Why I call myself an inspirational speaker guys, because I love using my life experiences, my struggles, things that I've fought and overcome to inspire others. When I was much younger, 8 years old, I had a dream when I was speaking to people, when I was talking to people. I was quite a young girl and I didn't even know what that dream was about. But as I grew older, when I was in secondary school, I discovered I'm a shy person. So if I had a dream when I was talking to people, when I was 8 years old, it means I need to work on it. What did I do? When you call a debate in my secondary school, I will join the debate. When you talk about people to give impromptu speeches, I will join to give impromptu speeches. When you talk about people that would come to talk without any preparation, just come and say something, I will find my way there. And that was how my growth journey began. I started speaking, and one thing about speaking is the more you speak, the more you gather confidence, the more you gain confidence, the more you build momentum, the more you evolve, the more you metamorphose, because you are facing your fears. So once you discover this, you need to ensure that you practice speaking in public. That's one of the steps you need to take. Again, you need to try to see this shyness as a cue or hint to push yourself hard and to do the opposite of what you've been doing when you feel shy. When you feel shy, you tend to back off. You tend to withdraw. You tend to hide yourself. So once you feel shy, you need to do the opposite of the natural response, which is what? To go to the fore and face your fears. Like I said earlier, do it afraid. You're not feeling like it, but do it irrespective, because that's where the success lies. Also, you need to place your attention on others. One thing about shyness, for you to feel shy, you're focusing on yourself. Your brain is reminding you, oh, remember, you don't speak in public before. Remember, this is the first time, you don't know these people. How will your diction be? Do you have the best diction? Do you know how to pronounce words correctly? How is your phonics? Are you sure you're going to speak? Don't go and speak blunder. Your brain is telling you a whole lot of things that you're not good at. But then, if and only if you can remove the attention from yourself and focus on others. Focus on others. When we stop focusing on ourselves, we stop being worried. We stop being able to be worried how we come off. This is one of the easiest way you can do this. Just focus on being compassionate. Focus on talking to people. Focus on your passion. Oh, I'm passionate about this. I want to talk to these people. Maybe you're talking to young girls or you're talking to young widows. Focus on compassion. Focus on the impact you're going to make in their lives. Focus on how your choice of words will transform their lives. Focus on empathy. When you focus on these things, it removes your attention from yourself. And there is a reprogramming that happens in your brain at this time. And this is one of the ways you can challenge that and reprogram your mind. The next thing is visualize success. Footballers, some of us watch football. We just concluded the World Cup, and if you know one thing footballers do, before they go to the pitch, some of them, you see them doing like this, closing their eyes. You see them closing their eyes, taking a deep breath. What are they doing? They are visualizing. They are visualizing. So you need to close your eyes and visualize a situation where you might be shy. Now in your mind, think about being confident. Think about speaking confidently. Think about people being moved by your speech. Think about the impact your speech is going to have in the lives of people. This is one of the ways you can help yourself visualize success. When you visualize success, you will surely be successful. The next thing I need you to do is to practice good posture. There is something about posture. This is one of the things when I'm a personal development coach as well with interest in women. And when I'm talking to young secondary school girls, I tell them the importance of good posture. Standing tall gives the world the impression that you are self-confident and receptive to others. Often we are treated the way we feel. So if you feel open and approachable, your body will emulate that feeling. So you need to feel confident. You need to practice good posture. You don't go to speak to people and you are slouching. No, you need to go with your head held high. That's one of the ways to, overcome your shyness. You need to walk boldly to the stage and do that which you've been called to do. Research says that good posture, held high, shoulders back, and open arms makes us feel authoritative, confident, and to top it off, it reduces stress. So practice that. Also, practice speaking clearly to yourself. Sometimes I do this before I start my speaking engagements. Maybe if I'm in a hotel, if I'm lodging in a hotel, I just stand in front of the mirror and talk to myself. I just do it, talk to myself. I kind of rehearse what I want to say, and it helps. It goes a long way to help. The next thing I need you to do is don't ever in any way compare yourself to others. Let me take that again. Don't ever in any way compare yourself to others. You are unique and you are highly individuated. There is no one else like you. There is no one else that talks or speaks the way you do. You are unique in your own way. You are beautiful, you are handsome, you are amazing. So you don't need to compare yourself to anyone. The more you compare yourself to others, the more you will feel that you're not able to measure up, and the more intimidated you will feel, which will make you shyer. There is no use to compare yourself to anybody else. But if you do it realistically. Everyone else is overwrought with self-assurance problems too. The person you're trying to compare yourself with is also battling with their own ish. The person is also having some self-assurance problem. So you need to face your battles. Listen, our fight is different. My battle is not your battle. The things I've conquered, the things I've been through, and I came out victorious are not the same thing you've been through. So you need to understand you are unique in your own way and your battle is different. When you understand this, it will help you not to be under pressure to impress anyone. Be you, do yourself, and you will achieve better results. Identify your social value and strengths. We all have our social values. We all have our strengths. We all have our weaknesses. Just because you're not the alpha in the room, have the most booming voice, or get the party started, doesn't mean you lack social strength. There are people that naturally, based on their temperament, like the sanguines, they are the life of the party. Whenever they are, you know that they are there. Like they just have a way of putting a smile on everyone's faces, and they have a way of lighting up the room. They are full of positive vibes. So you don't need to allow this make you feel that you, who is a melancholy, probably like myself, I am not sure I am the life of a party. Like I'm the type that when I go for a party, I will just sit down quietly and observe and smile at, beautiful faces. But I do that quietly. But I appreciate people who are able to connect, people who are able to relate with other people who are able to, say things to make people laugh. The fact that I am not comical enough, or I am not a comedian, I don't know how to, make people laugh, doesn't mean I'll start comparing myself, or it doesn't mean I don't have a social value. I have social value, but in different ways. So you need to accept yourself, identify your social value and strength, and be comfortable in your skin. Be comfortable in your skin. You don't need to do more than you can. Just take it one step at a time. We all are doing life for the first time. We've never been here before. We all are doing life for the first time, and probably the last. We don't know when we are leaving. So we just need to take it one step at a time. Appreciate your growth journey. Appreciate how far you've come, the battles you faced in the past and conquered, and this will help you to focus more on your strengths. Now, how to be confident as a speaker in year 2023. I'm going to rush this because of time. First of all, know your topic. When you're given a topic, maybe in your office, you're being asked to do a presentation, or you're being asked to lead the team, you need to be hands-on with your topic. You don't come and start saying something you've not studied, something you've not made your personal research, something that you've not taken time to draft your preamble. You need to know your topic. The better you understand what you're talking about, the more you care about the topic, and the more you internalize it. Like, it gets to a point when you're talking, people feel this is coming out of you effortlessly because you have rehearsed, you've practiced, you've researched this over and over again. Secondly, you need to be organized. Get organized. Ahead of time, carefully plan out the information you want to present, including your props, your audio, your visual aids, your slides, whatever you have for your presentation, get organized and get them ready. Thirdly, you need to practice. Like I said, practice makes perfect. You can never achieve perfection without practice. So the more you practice, keep practicing, practice some more, just keep practicing. And before you know it, it becomes your reality. The first thing is challenge specific worries. When you're afraid of something, you may overestimate the likelihood of bad things happening. List your specific worries, then directly challenge them by identifying probably and alternative outcomes and any objective evidence that supports each worry or the likelihood that your fear outcomes will happen. Whatever worry you have, challenge it. If you're worried you're late, let's do an event and you're worried that you may be late. For instance, the event of today, I was worried that I will be late because my children are on holiday, and I was worried, how am I going to handle them? This program. So what did I do? I had to leave early enough because it is a worry. I challenge my worry by being here early enough so that I won't have any excuse to be late. So you need to challenge your worries. The next thing is focus on your material, not on your audience. When you're presenting, when you're in front of people as a public speaker, even if you're not a professional public speaker, but when you have a presentation of any kind, be it in your local assembly, be it in the office, wherever, first of all, you need to focus on your material, not the audience. You might be saying something and your audience are all looking too serious and all that. If you don't focus on your material, you may deviate. Or in a bid to get everyone smiling, you might go off point. So focus on your material. People Mainly pay attention to new information. So make your material as lively as possible to attract attention and also give your audience a beautiful experience in the course of presenting your section. The next thing, don't fear a moment of silence. If you lose track of what you're saying or you start to feel nervous and your mind goes blank, it may seem like you've been silent for an eternity. In reality, it's probably only a few seconds. Even if it's longer, it's likely your audience won't mind a pause to consider what you've been saying. So if you feel choked or you feel blank, what do? Just take some moments of silence. It's important. It's better you take few minutes of silence than commit a blunder. So if you feel blank, take it easy. It's okay to be silent for some minutes and continue with your presentation. Number 7, recognize success. Recognize success. After your speech or presentation, give yourself a pat on the back because it's not easy. You deserve a pat on the back. You need to encourage yourself. You need to admire yourself. You need to admire your strength, the effort you've put in to do that presentation is worthy of recommendation. So feel free to give yourself a pat on the back. And again, get support. Join a group that offers support for people who have difficulty with public speaking. You want to speak more confidently, probably in the office, you want to do wonderful presentation. You should be open-minded enough to seek help and get support. If it means going for training, if it means getting a coach, if it means, doing one or two things to ensure you move from point A to B, be open to get support. So I know these tips will help each and every one of us. I also hope it will get our audience to start, becoming more confident in themselves come year 2023. I am really rooting for you. I am rooting for you, and I want you to speak more confidently. If you have more questions, feel free to reach out to me, my Facebook, Ijeoma Esther Nnamdi. You can also connect with me on Instagram. I am Esther. And thank you so much, Global Speakers Talk, for having me today. I really enjoyed myself.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Ijeoma. That was such an insightful talk. You shared so many things over to us, and we're absolutely grateful for what you shared. So let me just give me a moment. Okay. So one of the things that really caught my attention as well is that there's just, if one quote kind of like summarized the whole thing, it's, we are all doing life for the first time. When you said that, that instantly got my attention because that made so much sense. And sometimes we tend to like overthink or over analyze everything, or we tend to envy this person what they can do without forgetting that we can also do something similar. We can also do it. So thank you so much for all of the wonderful reminders, wonderful insights that you shared, including, of course, letting us acknowledge our triggers. So if there's one thing that also was pretty different with how you shared your insights with us, is acknowledging that we have triggers. Like, no matter how much we try to build ourselves up or how much we try to work on our shyness and gain confidence, we would always have one or two triggers that would set us off course all over again. And it's really a nice thing to sit with it and acknowledge it and do our work around it as well. So thank you so much for that, Dr. Ijeoma. That's super super appreciate everything.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's proceed again to our last, but definitely not the least, speaker for today's event. Let me just share my screen again. So again, All right. Last but definitely not the least, our next speaker is a certified CPC life coach and a certified CPD in social media, hailing from Rome, Italy. She's the creator of Recreate Your Full Potential and Your Better Life Journey, where she passionately helps moms rediscover themselves. And because of this, she's on a mission to impact and help 50,000 moms by 2023. Join me in welcoming Anna Maria Moro.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that beautiful intro. And I am so blessed and honored to be here today amongst these amazing speakers that just shared their experience and their value with all of us so that we can get a kickstart in 2023 and live our best lives. And today, this is a really special day for me. It's a very, very special topic that we're talking about today here for me in my life, because shyness and self-confidence and self-esteem has been in the past a really major factor of my the way I came out in my life, and I was not taking action, and just how I was perceiving my life. And so as Pau beautifully introduced myself, I am a certified life coach, and I have specifically decided to help moms that are going through, growth, and they're getting older and their kids are getting older, and that transition to rediscovering their identity and recreating their full potential. So not too long ago, it's 4 or 5 years ago, I was not in the happiest place, and I was not confident. I was always angry, frustrated, and I did not have a really good relationship with my husband. My kids were kind of not wanting to be around me, and everything was just getting affected, my health, finances, everything. And one evening, I just decided that I had enough. I just decided no more. I wanted to be more. I knew I could be more. There had to be something different in my life. There had to be. And so from that moment, that's when I started my self-discovery journey. And I literally just started reading books and doing cold researches. And I essentially hired coaches and mentors to help me regain my clarity. And so when I regained my clarity, I look back and I realized that I was actually stronger than what I was giving myself credit for. And so that's why it's so important to me today about this topic, because shyness for me, if we can all agree after today, it's a beautiful summit today, is that shyness for me was a face of fear, right? So just like as Renee said in the beginning, I love those two ways that was explained, that if shyness is serving you, then for me, that's quiet confidence. If shyness is not serving you, then there's some sort of fear there. And for me, it was fear. Fear of thinking different, fear of expression, fear of acceptance of myself. And so my confidence was down. My self-esteem was down. And I was not taking action in my life. So I want to do something for all of you today. I want to give back. I want to share with you what I discovered in my journey and what I do currently in my life, and how I help others regain their self-confidence and crush that shyness, which is fear. And so I want you to all look at it as like a funnel. Imagine a funnel. And at the top, there's that shyness, that fear. And so that fear gets us thinking, we're fear of not showing up, or fear of expression, like as I said before. And so it brings down our confidence, right? So our self-esteem. And what does that do? So it doesn't make us take action. We don't take action. We have inaction. We procrastinate. And so what does it initially do. So all of this that we're talking about today, shyness, fear, identity, self-confidence, it really attacks our self-worth. It's what we think about ourselves, that we're not deserving, we're not worth it, I can't, I'm no one. And so we play small, and then it becomes like a snowball effect, because then we realize that we know deep down that we could do more, we could be more. And so I want to share with you 3 things. I want to keep it high level, just 3 things that I have been obsessed in the last year to share with all of you, not just moms, because I believe that we all connect and find ourselves at the same common ground. There's a foundation, and it doesn't matter what's happening in your life. It doesn't matter if you're going through, a loss of a job, finances, health, a divorce, separation, maybe even just a loss of a family member. Whatever that crisis is happening in your life, to crush fear and regain your self-confidence, this is the basis. We all need to start from here. So the 3 things are this, is clarity. We need to know where we're going and know where we are right now. And I like to look at it as a GPS system. We all know how that works. So you plug in the destination, it asks you where you are. And that's exactly what our lives should look like. We need to know where we're going, and we need to know where we are. And once we know where we're going, and we sit and look at what's going on in our lives, and most of the time there's something going crazy, right? But that's okay. We need to accept that so that we can move forward towards where we want to be. So number 2 is communicate. What are we communicating to ourselves? What are those ugly thoughts, those ugly words, sentences that we use all the time? We need to sit and reflect what those sentences and words are. And then we need to replace them. Actually do maybe even a research. And that's what I did as well. Research new words, new phrases that can replace those ugly thoughts that are keeping us down. And so number 3 is execute. We need to take action. We need to take the actions in our lives, little things, baby steps. And I like to look at it this way today. A lot of us that are here today, but those of you that are watching and are listening today are for sure not maybe at our level. Maybe Renee is at grade 8. I like to look at it as a grade, if you guys want to follow me in this. So, we can't get to grade 8 without being at grade 1. And so a lot of you today are at grade 1, which is okay. You need to start, right? And so some of us skip over and want to go to grade 10, but we missed out on all of the other grades. So it's important to take the action that is right for your stage, where you are at your grade, right? And so what does this all do? By taking action, identifying, getting the clarity and the communication, it brings up your confidence. Because, as I said before, the funnel, what's at the top is that fear. And that fear is pressuring all of that, and it's going down, the self-confidence. And then it's all about your self-worth. So we want to crush that fear, and we crush it by doing. You only get rid of the fear from doing. And so doing can be little things. It's just little things. And so it could be, once you identify where you want to go, right? Let's just say you want to lose weight this year. Maybe you want to lose like 10 kilos. So what do you need to do, right? Where are you at right now? What do you have? Do you need to go to the gym? Do you need to start walking? Do you need to look at, what you're eating? And so you take the action, right? You baby steps, one thing at a time. The most important thing is to schedule it, not just think about it, actually writing it down. And that's what I did in my life. I started actually writing down, I had literally a calendar, the classic calendar. I had my Google Calendar. I bought a little notebook, and then I would write it in my journal up until not long ago that I got used to it. And then I just still use my Google calendar in my little booklet, and you schedule it. You schedule it because your brain actually retains that and remembers that you have something, that you need to be doing. Plus you set boundaries, right? So this is when your self-worth, your self-confidence comes up, because you're doing something, you're accomplishing, you're setting yourself boundaries, discipline in your life, you're giving yourself respect. And so the fear comes down and the self-confidence comes up, the self-esteem comes up, and your self-worth comes up. And that's what we want. So I want to give you a little bit behind the scenes, because we have this process now, and, these three little, elements that we can put into our lives. And it's like the foundation. It is the foundation from where we need to start. But behind the scenes, is this. I want to share something with you. Is that today everything's been really great. And the speakers, I've got so many notes and so many golden goodies from everybody. And so behind the scenes, when I give my process or method or steps, we need to remember something when we're going through this. And you're going to apply something from Omu or something from Renee. So a long time ago, well, not a lot, about 15 years ago, I actually graduated as a chef, hotel restaurant management. So I completely transformed my life. And I had a lot of recipes, but there was one in particular, and it was a magical recipe for chocolate cake. And so I want you to kind of follow me here. And so when I gave this chocolate cake recipe out, it was perfect. You just do the steps, you save the time to find the ingredients, you save the time to rip your hair out and figure out how do you do this chocolate cake. I gave the steps, but it takes 45 minutes. So I kind of want to remind all of you here that are watching and listening is that everything is important. And if, the three steps that I just gave right now, the clarity, the communicate, and the execute, if you want to get rid of the communicate because you want it to be, you want to do it in 30 minutes. If I took out a piece of that recipe, an ingredient, that cake is not going to bake. Maybe it would bake, but it wouldn't be good. You know what I mean? You've got to follow the steps. You got to follow the process. And it's for me and it's for everyone. It still takes me 45 minutes to bake that cake, right? So we got to put in the work, right? We're giving away again all these beautiful magical recipes, right? But we need to remember is there's the work behind it. And so what kept me going, right? So after I went through my self-discovery journey, I regained my clarity and I completely transformed my life. I decided to help other moms and other people. And so I decided that I wanted to filter out everything that I did. And there's this one thing, if you could just all take away this today from me, is fill your cup. I could never figure out what this fill your cup was. I knew it was something for me, right? You do it for yourself, you fill up your cup. It wasn't literally fill up your cup. I knew it was something like self-care, self-love, but I didn't figure it out till not long ago. And it is about yourself, putting yourself first. So when you're going through this process that I gave you today, the first thing you do when you get up in the morning is always about you. Fill up your cup. And that is meditate, listen to a podcast, go for a walk, whatever that is for you, you need to set that time out just for you, first you. But what does really fill your cup mean? And it means emotional workout. It means you're working out your emotions and you're training yourself to master your emotions. And so why is that important? I always like to make these little examples. And so when we go to the gym, right, we decide to go to the gym, we work out, right? You take the weights, you do what you got to do. And it's not just because you're going to go work out. It's not because you're muscle. Underneath, you're actually taking care of your heart, your blood pressure, your organs, your oxygen level, your lungs. And that's the same thing with this process. When you fill your cup, you are working out your emotional muscles and you're keeping everything in focus, in tune, right? Like a muscle. So your clarity, your communication, your execute, and what's it really doing? It's keeping your self-worth high, your self-confidence high, your self-esteem high, and that fear low. And you got to work at it every day. We don't go to the gym today and say, oh, I got it, it's all done. No, a little bit every day, a little bit every day. So I'm not sure if I'm good for time here, but I know everyone had a little bit of a piece of the cake here. And I hope that this has all helped you today. And I'm so blessed and honored. And I thank the Global Speakers Talk for having me today here to allow me to share my message. And I really want all of you that are listening and watching and all of us here today to really have their best year ever. And I truly believe with all my heart that 2023 is going to be our best year. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much, Anna, for that inspiring and motivating and eye-opening talk. Just like everyone else, like everyone, it's like a good party tonight. Like everyone had something new to bring to the table. And Anna, I think your talk was just like amazing way to summarize everyone's key points while also adding up your own, which is such a beautiful way of doing it. And as I saw this message, I love cake, and this is the best chocolate cake I've had in my entire life. So thank you for sharing with us the slice of the cake for everyone of us to enjoy tonight. So just like for the other speakers, I took a couple of notes, and what I wanted to highlight here is the whole fill your cup idea. Like when you wake up in the morning, we often, especially now that, you know, nearly everyone in the world has gone back to the usual way of things and so on. So sometimes when we wake up in the morning, we're always in a rush. We rush to get to work. We instantly open our laptops, check our mobile phones, check this and that we fail to kind of like do something for ourselves. And oftentimes we kind of like think that doing something for ourselves is selfish, or is it when we wake up and we want to focus a bit more on the meditation or taking some time to ourselves, our intrusive thoughts sometimes would tell us you could be doing this by checking your emails. Like you could already be checking your emails right now. You could already be working right now. So it's a good reminder for us that this year, this 2023 is, again, fill your cup, because we can't pour from an empty cup essentially. So it's a good reminder. And yes, I totally agree with you that let's make 2023 our best year yet. So once again, Anna, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. And I hope you, along with the rest of our other speakers, gained a lot from today's event. All right. So those before we completely wrap up today's summit, I'd like to take a few minutes, if we can open the floor right now, to just, if anyone has any questions or messages, well wishes here on Zoom and on Facebook. Those joining us on the Facebook live stream, let me go ahead and check it right now just in case. We have a couple of comments coming in. Let me go ahead and check it out. So far, none on our Facebook, but here on Zoom, we're opening the floor right now for any Q&As that Frankie has a question. All right, Frankie, go ahead.
Thank you so much, pal, for a lovely summit. And just thank you for them wonderful ladies for sharing their experience of shyness. I thought it was amazing, and I've really taken some notes from what you've actually said. It was just an amazing game, what you talked about, and I could really relate to it. Somebody who was painfully shy myself. I mean, I couldn't even walk to the bar to get a drink. You know, I was that shy. You know, so I realised how painful that can be. But I think as well, ladies, I think what's really important is that we have shynesses, we have weaknesses, we have vulnerabilities. I think it's really important that we embrace the shyness and not try to suppress it or push it away, because it is part of who we are. And like Renee said, if we embrace the shyness, we can able to deal with it a lot more better when it comes up in our lives. So as long as we're aware of that, to embrace it rather than suppressing it or pushing it away that it doesn't exist, we can deal and cope with them, our weaknesses and our vulnerabilities a lot more better. So I just thought I'd share that with you, and thanks again for your amazing talks. It's really inspiring. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Frankie, for sharing that wonderful message. I'm pretty sure all of our speakers and of course the Global Speakers Talk team truly appreciate those kind words. And this is why all of us here, our stories, our voices that we share, this is exactly why we do what we do. You know, just sharing our stories every opportunity that we get. So, wow, Frankie, for your story. It says Andrea is also joining us today. So we're looking forward to seeing more of you here, Frankie, and sharing your kind messages and kind words and your story with us. All
That
right.
was
So
great. You'd be
thank
great.
you
Thank
so
you.
much. So if we can spend a few more, if there's anyone else, sharing their messages or asking questions, please feel free and don't be shy. Let's take this as the first step to get over that boundary, and just feel free to unmute or ask a question here. So we have a message from Navi. It's my first time here. This was really an awesome way to cap the year. Heart and hands are full of insights and new perspectives to carry over to the new year. I'm so looking forward to GST's events already. Thank you so much, Navi, for sharing that on the chat. Okay. Our Facebook is we're good right now. Pretty clear on the no questions coming in. Grateful, Navi, for you. That's totally true. And thank you to those who sent their messages over to the chat. No more questions, I think. All right. So, gosh, those few hours went by so fast. And honestly, that's quite expected as well, because there were just so many great things. Like, I have a notebook right here, and it's just full of filled out so many pages of my notes today. That's expected because there were just so many great things shared, and I hope everyone who joined us here and who will be joining us when they rewatch this summit on the Facebook page. I hope you guys learned a lot, have new insights, and extra excited basically to start off 2023 in the better perspective, new light, and more confident to be a new us in the next year. Once again, I'd like to thank all of our speakers today for sharing their amazing insights, valuable time, and generous effort to help our viewers become their best selves this 2023. Also, I'd like to thank the wonderful souls behind the Global Speakers Talk for having us and for having me as your host for today's event. This has been your host, Pao Castillo. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to join us today. Please take care, enjoy the rest of the holidays, and most importantly, have a happy new year. See you again in 2023 with so much more new learnings and great insights from speakers all over the world, courtesy of Global Speakers Talk. Have a great day or good night, everyone. See you again soon.
Well done.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Bye-bye now. Thank you.